Here's my story. I didn't know anything about my husband's autism when I married him. We were married for almost 20 years before I figured it out while I was working on my master's at Harvard. So from there, I went on to do this research, and after I'd done the research, I talked to Tony Atwood about it. And he was a little excited about it because these people who I'm calling the high body empathetics are also a group that he recognized in his own clinic and that he calls extreme neurotypicals. Now, I've decided to define these high body empathetics as neurodivergents rather than neurotypicals. So the term extreme neurotypical doesn't fit. But Tony Atwood and I were getting at the same idea, and that is that there's this different group of people who have a different way of seeing the world, who are commonly in these families and also in these relationships. Now, another thing that Tony Atwood shared with me that I hadn't thought of before at that point in time was that many of the people who marry autistics, not only are they these high body empathy neurodivergents, but that they come from families where autism exists and that they are choosing life partners that are familiar. So that got me thinking. And it took me some time, but after a while, I realized that my mother's mother, who had already passed away, was likely autistic. And over more time, I realized that my mother was also likely autistic. And then that two of my siblings were also likely autistic. Now, please keep in mind that in my family, this was all level 1 autism, and that level 1 autistic adults don't necessarily run out and always get diagnoses. Yet, the impact of autism on the other family members and the impact of neurodiversity inside a family is so great. It's important to have flexibility with the family members of autistics when they are saying, I think my life partner is autistic, or I think my mother is autistic, because they may need support from you, whether or not their parents or partners go out and get these diagnoses. But all of this is to emphasize that level 1 autism is very difficult to recognize. I know I am just one person, but I am one person who fits into this model. And I went many, many years without having any understanding that my brain was different than many of the brains that I was closest to.